Hello, everybody. My name is Ray. Welcome to the Evangelical Dark Web. Today, we're going to be discussing Julie Roys going after Sean Feucht and what illegitimate Christian journalism looks like. And we're also going to compare that to our past reporting on Sean Feucht here at Evangelical Dark Web. Now, Sean Feucht is a very influential figure in, evangelicalism. He does a lot of speaking conferences and stuff like that. Very widely known for him doing the Let Us Worship tour in 2020 and 2021. So he was big on the fight against branch Covenantism. And Sean Feucht is one of those people that I want to like. I want to be able to recommend him, but theologically, my convictions do not allow me to go in that direction because even though he is a man of action, he is a man who at best is highly influenced by false teachers, mainly from the Bethel Redding camp. So Bill Johnson is one of his primary influencers, and you cannot recommend anyone who is primarily influenced by Bill Johnson and also has a history of partaking in New Age type of practices. So these are just some things about Sean Feucht and legitimate critiques of Sean Feucht. And then there's Julie Roys. So she went after him for some petty crimes that he committed over 5 years ago, with an underlying half-baked point about the financial shadiness of his current nonprofit organization. So we're going to dive into this story, but first, I will let you know Evangelical Dark Web is a Christian news gathering and commentary ministry. You can support us over at evangelicaldarkweb.org/join, linked in the description below. But the least you can do is like this video, subscribe to the channel or podcast if you are new. Now, again, we do Christian news gathering like Julie Roys says she does, but she's not actually, they're not actually Christians doing the news gathering over at the Roys Report, or as I like to call it, the Report, for the obvious feminist connotations, because that's really the underlying theology behind the Roy Report. And this is an article written by Steve Bogman, who is an atheist. So, as you can see on our tour of the website of the Roy's Report, we see Sean Feucht's criminal record raises integrity concerns. That is the headline on an article written by Steve Bogman, an atheist. I'm going to take myself out of the picture for a second, and you can see that it says support Christian journalism. Apparently Christian journalism is done by atheists, and then I guess you get a prize if you support Christian journalism by donating to an atheist, and that is Karen Swallow Prior's new book. You can get the Evangelical Imagination. That's a new book written by the wokest professor who used to be in the SBC. She's no longer there that I know of, but she has a book, to, I guess, brag about it. But I do want to put a pin in this whole donation thing, because she does have, Steve Bogman does get into some more financial concerns regarding Sean Feucht, but again, this is old news, but the Julie Roys, her ministry, if you'd call it that, doesn't actually have its own, organization. It funnels money through a liberal Bible or a liberal college. So you donate your money, it goes to a liberal college that supposedly earmarks that money to Julie Roys, and thus, because of the way the tax law is, has authority over the organization and how that money is spent. So she's using someone else's nonprofit tax status to receive nonprofit tax-deductible donations by using someone else's nonprofit status. So that's the game that Julie Roys is running. And because of that, that liberal college has control over her organization. So not something that a legitimate ministry would do. They would set up their own 501c3 or whatever. But because, this isn't charity, Like Evangelical Dark Web's an LLC. We're not. You can donate to us, but it's not tax deductible. You know, we also make partisan endorsements and stuff like that. So we don't want to play by the 501c3 rules. And if that's okay with you, we'd love to, again, support us over at Evangelical Dark Web. But again, this isn't charity. This is business. And she abuses tax law to get charitable donations. So that's worth noting in this article as we're going to talk about financial accountability. So with that said, the first part of this article explains who Sean Feucht is. Again, we've talked about that. Apparently, the 2016 book, Integrity, is what's being called into question here. So, his criminal record raises integrity concerns. Well, all these criminal records actually occur after the book has been written, and based on the book, he only wrote a small portion of it, which, again, that's just being honest. If we're being honest, he wrote a small portion of a book that had several authors on it, and all these petty infractions that they go after him from stem from 2017, 2018. And then they ignore certain other cases, which we'll talk about in a moment. So a review of criminal and court records reveal that Feucht has a history of minor criminal offenses, including one in which he apparently tried to deceive law enforcement. A detailed law enforcement report obtained by the Reed report, shows that Feucht asked a friend to withhold key information from police. Then when an officer asked Feucht about what he did, Feucht reportedly denied it, but the officer had seen evidence, the report states, and Feucht eventually pleaded no contest to illegal hunting in a baited area. Now, again, that's the officer's word on what happened in that story. That's not exactly... we haven't heard Sean Feucht's interpretation of how those events went down. Nonetheless, he was hunting turkeys, as we'll get into. The case stems from November 2017. According to the report from the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, Feucht was having turkey problems around the 3,200 square foot home in Northern California that he had recently acquired for nearly $500,000. Now, again, these are just little details they sprinkle in to make the story seem more salacious, not fallacious, than it actually is. Like, you're just adding these details to make him seem richer than he actually is, and I'm sure he has stacks of cash somewhere, as we'll get into in a moment. But it's just a little bit of details because you're trying to paint a story. You're trying to frame a narrative. This is an atheist writing about a supposed Christian. So they're trying to make him look bad by making him look rich. So records obtained by the Shasta County Superior Court show that Feucht reportedly bought a tripod feeder, filled it with corn, a common turkey bait, and used it to lure and kill a turkey. This is a violation of California law, which prohibits hunting game birds within 400 yards of a baited area. So he was hunting turkeys that he didn't like, but he did so in an illegal fashion, and then apparently also took a picture celebrating the hunt. And this is back in 2017, and again, more of the dishonesty is that they're showing a picture of Sean Feucht following a turkey hunt in Northern California dated April 2021. So they're showing a more recent picture to frame the past events. An anonymous individual reported Feucht to the authorities, the report states, but when Feucht learned that law enforcement wanted to speak to him, he reportedly sent a text to a friend instructing him to meet with the officers on Feucht's behalf, but not to tell the officers about the feeder. So basically he told his friend not to snitch. When Feucht met with the investigating officer the next day, he claimed that he did not know that killing a turkey near a feeder was illegal. The report adds that when officer asked Feucht why he told his friends to keep the feeder secret, Feucht told the officer that he had never sent such a text. So he texted the snitch, is what it sounds like. and then he tried to get out of it. I mean, it sounds like he lied. Ultimately, he pleaded no contest. Was charged with a misdemeanor and pleaded no contest, I think is what it says. Court records show that the public defender was appointed at that hearing to represent Feucht in the case. Public defenders are appointed to represent indigent criminal defendants who inform the court that they cannot afford an attorney for their case. Now, again, this is another instance where the claim could be misleading here. Because, yes, that is what the Miranda rights state, is that if you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. That's our understanding from the Miranda rights. But speaking from Maryland experience, and I'm sure California, being a very blue state, is also probably loose with the public defender threshold and the threshold at which you can get a public defender. There is a threshold that you can get a public defender for that's not just poverty, or not just, at the poverty level. So it's a lot more complicated. I have intern experience at a public defender's office, fun fact. So I know a little bit about public defenders and how the job works. And that is potentially misleading. I don't know the California ins and outs of how you qualify for a public defender, but obviously if he was appointed a public defender, that means that they pretty much sent him to the public defender's office, where he presumably would have had to apply for their services. So we don't know how that ended up, whether he was told, no, you can't use us, you got to get your own lawyer, or whether they appointed him the lawyer and that settles it. I don't know how that process works, but that claim is potentially misleading on this article written by an atheist going after a supposed Christian for a supposedly Christian news organization. So financial records show that Feucht received over $100,000 in compensation from just one of his nonprofits, Sean Feucht Ministries. And yeah, I mean, again, the guy has stacks. According to court records, 2 months later, on March 23rd, Feucht pleaded no contest to the charge he apparently tried to evade. So yeah, Feucht's mistake there was, texting the snitch, texting the snitch. Like, pretty stupid, but again, crime, often stupid. And yeah, you shouldn't lie about these things, but how relevant is this to go after? You're talking about a book that was written before this crime took place. You're trying to juxtapose a book, and they have like a story that they're sort of going after, and that's the financial stuff. Other criminal offenses in 2018, the conviction. Okay, so that's not the only thing. In June 2018, he was charged in Cumberland, Pennsylvania, with a failure to maintain weeds on his property. The code requires that a violator be given notice and an opportunity to correct the violation before being charged. Feucht failed to correct and pleaded guilty in court 2 weeks later. That same month, he was charged a second time under the same code section. Feucht pleaded not guilty to that in July 2018. So these are infractions, right? Like, yeah, several, like, these are infractions. Like, I'm pretty sure you can't go to jail for this, right? So here's where they actually get into more substantive critique of Sean Feucht as he is right now. Like, again, people make mistakes. Again, I wouldn't trust Sean Feucht based on his ministry background, his theological beliefs. His theology is not there. And yeah, he's had some pretty dumb run-ins with the law, but they went with this to raise integrity concerns when, seemingly their biggest integrity concern is buried at the bottom, and that's the financial stuff. That seems to be more of an integrity concern. So in addition to these criminal offenses, the Christian watchdog organization Ministry Watch has reported concerns about the integrity of Feucht's financial claims. Now, here's where I gotta, I've mentioned this before, but I don't like Ministry Watch. Julie Roys is like complete snake, complete, wolf. Do not trust her. Ministry Watch, I also say, yeah, major caution flag on them and their reporting as well, because there's a couple issues with Ministry Watch. First of all, they do like a rating system on, A to F on ministries based on some criteria that's not legitimate. So in order to have like the A plus, you have to be a member of the Evangelical Financial Accountability Council, or what is it called? Evangelical Council for Financial Accountability. So they raise an extra biblical organization that's not the local church as the standard for Christian ministry, and I think that's an illegitimate standard. So they'll ding people for that. They also are kind of liberal. And one thing that they reported on that they got completely wrong was a Me Too case in the Presbyterian Church in America. They went totally with the Me Too narrative and the Julie Roys type of narrative in that case, and eventually the guy was exonerated. So the teaching elder was exonerated in that case. So I'm not huge on Ministry Watch, to be honest. For example, Ministry Watch noted that in 2020, Feucht's nonprofit Light a Candle raised $19,320 for work in Iraq, but only used $9,000 on program expenses. Yet, in a self-produced documentary, the nonprofit claimed that it had spent $100,000 in Iraq that year. So, again, that's a bigger story than the turkey hunting infraction. But here's the thing, that doesn't get the clicks. In an email to TRR Ministry Watch, so again, the fact that Ministry Watch coordinates with Julie Roys is major red flag. President Warren Cole Smith also expresses concerns. He says in this email to Julie Roys, or the guy writing this article for Julie Roys, who's an atheist, in a single year from 2019 to 2020, the last year for which financial records are available, Sean Feucht's ministry grew from less than $300,000 to more than $5 million in revenue. It only spent about $1.1 million on ministry expenses. That means the ministry's assets ballooned to more than $4.5 million. There is nothing wrong with growth, but it seems reasonable to expect that a ministry with more than $4 million in cash should be spending more money on the ministry it has promised to do. Now, again, Sean Feucht raised a lot of money, got a lot of notoriety in 2020 because of the whole let us worship thing. So this probably caused his ministry to grow a lot faster than it had any expectation of growth. Now, does that mean that he's not shady at all in his handling? No, but this is a half-baked story. You talk about raising $19,000 and only spending $9,000, and then claiming to spend $100,000. That is, but that was already a story reported by Ministry Watch. What's Julie Roy's going to go after him for? The financial stuff? Are they going to expand on this reporting? No, they're going to expand on the turkey hunt. They're going to go after him for letting his weeds expand too much on a property he owned, because he apparently didn't want to maintain his own property like a bad neighbor. And then here's how another red flag concern for the composition of the board of Sean Feucht Ministries, according to the nonprofit's latest 990 IRS filing, its board only has 3 directors, one of whom is Feucht himself. According to the Evangelical Council for Financial Accountability, a nonprofit board should have at least 5 board members to avoid a very small group from controlling the organization. Now, again, is that a red flag? No, it is not. That's not a red flag. Maybe that's a yellow flag. But the most relevant detail in this hit piece, that's really what this is, the most relevant detail in this hit piece is the financial claims. That is the biggest crime articulated in this hit piece. And it doesn't really expand upon that at all. Instead, it says they're not, with the ECFA, therefore they're red flag. They don't follow their guidelines, therefore red flags. Is the Evangelical Council for Financial Accountability the generally accepted accounting principles? Are they the Bible? You know, those are higher standards. Much higher standards. So again, we've reported on Sean Feucht multiple times. Sean Feucht, most recent article on Sean Feucht was him and Kenneth Copeland bringing the cringe to a Trump rally. Or sorry. So that's the most recent report that we did on Sean Feucht and his New Age practices. So we discussed this on a live stream that took place about a year ago. You should check that out. But anyway, that's all we got for today. Julie Roys represents everything that's wrong with, you know, people who try to do discernment ministries. She doesn't have theological convictions other than man-hating. And she has an atheist right for her. You're not doing this for the love of the church if you have someone who hates God writing for you. That's pathetic. So anyway, that's all I got to say about this. My name's Ray. This is the Evangelical Dark Web. Yeah, like I said, if you like this video, also like the video on your way out. Otherwise, have a blessed day. We will catch you on the next one.